we're talking some Tennessee football. How about hitting that like button if you want to talk some spring ball? Subscribe if you haven't to this point. Make sure you give us a review and have your notifications on. Spring ball now. 4 Downs brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas.
4 Downs brought to you by Dynasty Spas, the most comfortable spas made in the United States of America, right here in East Tennessee. Drop in for the all-new showroom in Athens. Dynasty Spas, perfect for all 4 seasons. 4 Downs, presented by Off the Hook Sports.
Tennessee on the practice field as Josh Heupel and several other Vols being with the media, I should say, after camp. So let's go ahead and get started with down number 1 as I stumble all over my words. Coop, what should people do?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right.
Coop here. First down.
All right. Tennessee's spring practice, as we write on Off the Hook Sports, is about instilling confidence. We discussed this yesterday. I don't want to say he's the comeback player of the year because there have been players with injuries, but I want to ask you this, Caleb, and that is Dante Thornton. Do you feel confident that he can be an all-SEC type of player? Because coaches continue to refer to the fact that he's doing a really good job in spring camp. And they said, quote, last year with where we were at with the guys that we had, we started him in the slot. That doesn't sound like an ideal situation. It sounds like Josh Heupel and his coaching staff are admitting they may have made a mistake with him.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And that's as far as Josh Heupel will ever go to admitting he made a mistake, because Josh Heupel never admits he made mistakes. For those who quick history, Josh Heupel said that they didn't see that Hendon Hooker was better than Joe Milton in practice because there wasn't a difference. That's a straight up lie. Hendon Hooker was better than Milton in practice. Heupel just wanted to go with Milton. In this situation, you're right. He all but admitted that they tried to force him into the slot and they shouldn't have. And so, quite honestly, the excitement level that I had for Dante Thornton this time last year is kind of coming back. Now, again, spring practice and this coaching staff is filled with so many lies and so many misleading statements. And half of it is I debate on, are these players really standing out, Dave? Or is Josh Heupel trying to force a narrative of them standing out because he wants them to be that great?
Well, and remember, some are standing out because Rue McCoy is not participating. So there's an opportunity to do more at the outside. So spring camp is what spring camp is. I mean, let's not pretend these are real scrimmages. So you do have to take that with a grain of salt. But for the second time in spring camp, if Josh Heupel is as manipulative of things he says in the media and he is that contrived, then you got to think he's trying to pump up Mike Matthews because he was a topic of discussion twice. How good can this guy be in year 1?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Yeah, for the second time, Josh Heupel, and I don't think he wanted to promote a Matthews narrative, but mention him as one of the guys that stood out. That just doesn't happen with freshmen that are midterm guys. Matthews may be Tennessee's next star. I think we talk about the upper echelon of Nico, Pierce, McCoy, from what I've been told, if healthy. Maybe this is the next guy that pushes himself into that sort of grouping.
I think that Mike Matthews has, I'm going there. I think he has rare talent. I think he long-term will actually end up being better than Brew McCoy. I think Mike Matthews is I think 2025, Nico and Mike Matthews become the greatest QB receiver duo in the history of Tennessee football.
Ooh.
Like, they are going to beat Peyton Manning, Joey Kent. That's the gold standard, right? Peyton Manning, Joey Kent. Yeah, they're gonna beat that. They will have that beat by 2025. We will be saying Peyton Manning, Joey Kent. Poor Casey Clausen never really had a go-to receiver outside of his sophomore year in 2001, 2002, and 2003. He was stuck with, as you know, very mediocre receiving in that moment. So that's really the only elite quarterback receiver combo that you can think over a sustained period of time at Tennessee was Peyton Manning, Joey Kent, when I look back. And let's be honest, it was just Peyton Manning more than it was Joey Kent.
Yeah,
But
definitely was.
I think in this case you have Nico and Mike Matthews, two superstar players at their positions. Yeah, you're gonna look. I'm. You might. I don't know if this has ever happened, but could you see a Heisman winner and a Biletnikoff winner in the same year from Tennessee between those two?
I almost don't think they would do that, even if they should. I just don't get the feeling that they would do that. All right, what down is it, Cooper?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right. The other thing that was said that I thought was interesting is that Tennessee came in with a strategic plan of building their defensive front up before they built their secondary up. Do you believe that, or did it just kind of fall into place like that? Because Lane Kiffin wasn't going to take Eric Berry and say, hey, well, he's no big deal. Let's focus on the front. I mean, did it just kind of fall out that way where Tennessee not only had some guys in place, but also had some guys that were interested in Tennessee and they panned out more than the defensive backs?
I think it somewhat fell out that way because of all the players that hit the portal for Tennessee and the defensive backs. I do think it fell on that way, but I also think Josh Heupel's system is geared towards putting more pressure. It's more important to have elite defensive linemen. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
To really get things started. So because of that, to go back to Danny White being an elite hirer, maybe Danny White saw this. Maybe Danny White saw the secondary was going to be an issue for a few years, and he was going to say, I need a coach who can be complementary to that early on because of how much it'll struggle. And maybe that's why he hired Josh Heupel. Maybe he's that smart, Dave.
Could be. Let's get to fourth down. Fourth down is right now. Again, it's brought to you by friends at Dynasty Pools and Spas. Fourth down. What player defensively, and I'm going to give you one name, needs to take the biggest step? And I want to hear it on our message board as well as I tell you about Dynasty Pools and Spas. Now, I've said it before, support our sponsors. So make sure you go by and say hello. And Off the Hook Sports sent you, and you'll save $500. But just take a gander. They'll deliver it to you, Dynasty Pools and Spas. What player needs to take the biggest step on defense? Pick one. Here, you know, the best thing about Dynasty Pools and Spas is that they've got it all taken care of. What does that mean? Well, you stop by their showroom and check out their fantastic selection of top-notch spas in that showroom in Athens. Make your pick and get ready, because Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers within 125 miles of that location in Athens, that fantastic showroom. They've got the cover lift, steps, chemicals, and everything you need. Delivery at no extra charge. They're just down the road in Athens. You pick the spa you want, and it'll be there for you. Oftentimes discounted with military and first responders discounts. Also blemish models, or just mention Off the Hook Sports. That's Off the Hook Sports for $500 off. There's a discount for you on spas made right here in East Tennessee. Support local. Dynasty Pools and Spas also has the best chemicals for you and your spa and your pool. No fillers, just the chemicals made right here in East Tennessee. Support local. Dynasty Pools and Spas, $500 off if you mention Off the Hook Sports. $500 off if you mention Off the Hook Sports. Dynasty Pools and Spas, dynastypoolsandspas.com. So who's your step-up guy? Who's your step-up guy on the message board? The guy that needs to step up, the guy that needs the most out of either the spring or the off-season. We got Boo Carter, Arian Carter. We got Tyree West. Great votes there, all of them. Who is yours? Mine's actually not a person. It is a portion of a person's body.
Okay. That's not weird at all.
No, that's not creepy. By the way, I want to take your son to Six Flags at some point. Okay, go ahead.
Why don't you start, Dave? I'm actually not interested. Sorry. Why don't you start?
Mine is Keenan Pili's tricep muscle. It really is, because that's a freaky injury that does not scare me for like down the road in the middle of the season. Once that heals, that heals. I knew somebody at the gym that underwent that. Once they staple it in, it's fine. It's gross. It's painful. It hurts. But that's it. just that it's completely fine. And can you imagine we haven't talked much about this, Caleb, but do you want to name for a second all the defensive tackles, the interior defensive linemen that Tennessee has coming back, and the fact that they could have a true mean Mike? Not to mention, I mean, this is a huge compliment. Polynesian linebacker behind them. I mean, this could be a tough physical group, not just an edge rushing group.
Well, that's why my name was, and I was going to change it. I wanted to make sure you said it first. I didn't want to take yours, but I'm going off your reporting, and I'm going Elijah Simmons is my step up guy. Because if Elijah Simmons steps up and becomes what you say he can, with Amari Thomas and that rotation, Bryson Eason, these guys we're talking about, that is a scary defensive line. At that point, I will say that this defensive line is better than the 2001 defensive line, if that can happen. And that's rare. So, yeah, I'm going to go Elijah Simmons. And imagine Elijah Simmons like having to command two guys in the middle and then just sending Keenan Peele on a blitz if he's fully healthy.
Yep. They're pretty good.
And not to mention Arian Carter's speed, too, at outside linebacker. I mean, I think that, look, I'm going to say this much. And Dave, we have been hard on him. Joe Milton struggled in a lot of ways last year, and that held a lot of things back. Based on what we're talking about now, there were a lot of other extenuating factors that held different units back as well, though. It was a transition year in a lot of ways across the board on the team.
You've said something that has kind of rubbed me the wrong way a couple of times, and it was so minor I didn't say it, but you said loaded up for this season. I don't believe coaches actually do that, and I'm not going to concede that they do because of the Nico situation, which he didn't play last year. You were right. They didn't want him to get hurt. I'll give you that. There are a couple of reasons I'm not going to concede, but the one reason that I am close to conceding to you that Josh Heupel is loading up for 2024 is he let every defensive back go that even thought about going. I don't think he tried to talk anybody to stay. I thought he thinks you're just not athletic enough. That makes me think that your loaded up theory actually has some merit, because then you're saying I'm not only going to go in here with somebody I practice with, like that Nico guy, I'm going to go in there with a bunch of dudes that I haven't spent a significant amount of time with, and here we go. Hope it works out in the secondary.
Dave, think about it this way. Think about pro football or pro sports for a minute. How often do you see teams restructure salary deals and put in contracts that put them in place they wait for a specific year where they can load up to make a run at the Super Bowl?
I'm not arguing that, but these are 18 and 19-year-old kids.
But college football is going the route of the pros with the NIL and the transfer portal.
But how many times when you were an 18 or 19-year-old freshman or sophomore at UT did you say, that 320 class doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. I think I'm going to go down to the strip where I know they don't card me. I mean, there's a lot riding on these kids, I guess is my point. And yes, by the way.
Josh Heupel's taking a huge risk. He's taking a gigantic risk, a much bigger risk than teams make in the NFL. But in the NFL, teams do load up for a year for the Super Bowl, knowing that they may not be as great after or that they may not be as great before, but they go all in on a year when they think they got their best chance at a run. The Marlins did that twice in baseball. They did it twice.
It's pro. We have to do it.
Like pro now with NIL and the transfer portal. This was the plan from the start.
One of those topics I thought you were absolutely crazy, and now you're winning me over.